Another dream is within reach. A student opens up a book. An entrepreneur takes another look.
Every generation asks the same question: who should lead? History remembers great leaders. History also remembers leaders who disappointed the people who trusted them. So what separates one from the other? Is it intelligence, experience, character, vision, or something far more ordinary, the ability to listen? Tonight our panel explores one of the oldest questions in public life. What makes a good leader? Welcome to the Thunderdome. Good evening and welcome back to America Together Radio. Last episode, our fictional Mascot panel discussed political parties and representation. Tonight we're stepping back from political systems and asking a question that applies everywhere. Government, business, schools, volunteer organizations, even families. What qualities make someone worth following?
I have a feeling everyone at this table is going to answer differently.
I certainly hope so. If they all gave the same answer, this would be a very short episode. Before we begin, let's define leadership broadly. Tonight we're not talking only about elected officials. Leadership can come from a mayor, a teacher, a coach, a business owner, a volunteer, a parent. Sometimes leadership comes from the person who never asks for the spotlight but quietly helps everyone around them succeed.
So this episode isn't just for people interested in politics.
Not at all. Anyone who has ever trusted another person or been trusted by someone else has something to gain from this conversation. President Pipeline will begin with you. When you hear the words good leader, what's the very first quality that comes to mind? Take your time. We'll hear your answer after the break.
The fairgrounds start to fill with people as the afternoon.
Welcome back. Tonight's question is simple to ask and difficult to answer. What makes a good leader? President Pipeline, the floor is yours.
Thank you. When I think about leadership, I don't begin with authority. I begin with responsibility. A title can be granted overnight. Respect usually cannot. Good leaders understand that people are trusting them with something valuable: time, hope, resources, sometimes even their future. That trust should never be taken lightly.
If you had to choose one quality above all others.
The willingness to listen. Leaders who stop listening eventually begin leading only themselves.
Some people think leaders are supposed to have all the answers. You're suggesting they should ask more questions.
Absolutely. The smartest person in the room is often the one still learning.
Liberty Jack, what quality matters most to you?
Humility. Power has a strange habit of convincing people they are always right. A good leader remembers they work for the people, not the other way around.
Can humility and confidence exist together?
They should. Confidence helps you make decisions. Humility reminds you those decisions can still be improved.
I'd agree with that. Listening isn't weakness. It's one of the ways leaders avoid preventable mistakes.
Exactly. The people closest to the problem often understand it better than the people farthest away.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, leadership begins with ears before it reaches the mouth.
That's a pretty good way to put it.
After the break, Lady Progress explains why empathy belongs in leadership. Captain Constitution discusses duty and accountability. Stay with us.
The festival tents line the river beneath the bright summer sky. Families gather for miles around.
Welcome back to America Together Radio. Tonight we're exploring a question that reaches far beyond politics. What makes a good leader? So far we've heard that leadership begins with responsibility, listening, humility, and earning trust. Now let's hear two more perspectives. Lady Progress, when you think of leadership, what quality rises to the top?
Empathy, not sympathy. Empathy. There's a difference. Sympathy says, I feel sorry for you. Empathy asks, what is it actually like to stand where you're standing? Leaders make better decisions when they understand how those decisions affect real people.
Can empathy become a weakness?
Only if it replaces good judgment. Compassion should inform decisions, not prevent them.
Captain Constitution, your thoughts?
Duty. Leadership is not ownership. It is stewardship. Whether someone leads a nation, a school, or a neighborhood association, they have accepted a responsibility larger than themselves. That means respecting both the authority they've been given and the limits placed upon it.
You often return to limits. Why?
Because history repeatedly teaches us that power without limits eventually forgets who it was meant to serve.
President Pipeline, does empathy make leaders stronger?
When combined with responsibilities, absolutely. Listening helps us understand problems. Empathy helps us understand people. Neither one replaces sound judgment. Together they improve it.
And leaders should never assume they understand someone's situation without asking questions first.
Exactly. People are more complicated than statistics.
And principles become more meaningful when applied thoughtfully.
So let me see if I've got this straight. A good leader listens, understands, people respects, limits and accepts responsibility.
That's quite a checklist. Market Maverick off microphone. Wait until we get to budgets. After the break, Market Maverick explains why leadership also requires execution. Professor Data explores whether great leaders are born or developed. And the People's Advocate asks what everyday citizens expect from those they choose to follow. Stay with us.
I'm Jeremy Levan. Rural communities understand problems that national politics often ignores. Distance, roads, hospitals, water, agriculture, energy, broadband, schools, and local services are not abstract issues. They are daily realities. America Together 2028 wants those voices included.
The mountains stand against the sky.
Welcome back. Tonight we're exploring one question: what makes a good leader? We've talked about listening, humility, empathy, responsibility. Now let's examine something every leader eventually faces: turning ideas into action. Market Maverick, when you evaluate leadership, what do you look for?
Execution. Anyone can make promises. Leadership begins when the work begins. Can you organize people? Can you solve problems? Can you adapt when the original plan doesn't survive first contact with reality?
So results matter.
Results matter. Learning matters. Owning mistakes matters. A leader who never admits an error usually stops improving.
Professor Data, are great leaders born or developed?
Research suggests leadership is influenced by many factors: experience, education, mentorship, opportunity, personality, circumstances. While some people possess natural strengths, effective leadership is generally strengthened through continual learning and reflection.
So there isn't a secret recipe?
If there is, no credible study has found it.
People's Advocate, what do everyday citizens expect from good leaders?
Consistency. People understand that leaders won't solve every problem overnight, but they do expect honesty, preparation, respect, and the feeling that someone is actually listening when concerns are raised. Leadership isn't about sounding important, it's about helping people move forward together.
Quick reactions.
Leadership should leave a community stronger than it was found.
Power should always remain accountable.
People should never become an afterthought.
Duty should outlast popularity.
Good leaders plant trees whose shade they may never sit under.
And they remember somebody eventually has to maintain those trees.
After the break, each mascot answers one final question. If you could teach every future leader one lesson, what would it be? Stay with us.
The stars shine bright above the desert, the same as they have.
Welcome back to America Together Radio. Throughout tonight's discussion, we've explored leadership from many different perspectives: listening, humility, empathy, duty, execution, accountability. Before we close, I'd like to ask each member of our panel one final question. If you could teach every future leader one lesson, what would it be?
Never stop listening. The day a leader believes they have nothing left to learn is the day they begin falling behind the people they serve.
Remember that authority is temporary. Character is what remains after the title is gone.
Every policy eventually reaches a real person. Never lose sight of that person.
Respect the responsibility you have accepted. Power should always be exercised with restraint and integrity.
Think beyond the next meeting, the next election, or the next headline. Good leaders leave something worthwhile for those who come after them.
Ideas matter. Execution matters more. Do the work. Own the results. Learn from the mistakes.
Make time for ordinary people. Leadership becomes disconnected when conversations only happen in conference rooms.
Stay curious. Evidence is not the enemy of conviction. It is one of the tools that helps conviction become wiser.
Leadership looks different in every community. Some lead businesses. Some teach classrooms. Some coach little league teams. Some volunteer quietly without asking for recognition. Leadership is not measured only by titles. It is measured by trust, by responsibility, by service, and by what remains after the leader has left. Perhaps that is why great leadership is remembered long after speeches are forgotten.
So next week we solve government.
I wouldn't set expectations quite that high. Next time we ask another practical question: what should government actually do? Where should responsibility begin? Where should it end? And who decides? We'll see you then. You've been listening to America Together Radio, simulated mascot debate Thunderdome. Today's discussion featured fictional mascot characters created to explore civic ideas through respectful conversation. The characters are fictional. The questions are real. Thank you for listening. Join us next time inside the Thunderdome.
The same as they have through the years, watching seasons come